was like, well, what am I going to do with my life? So it's architecture or photography, but I found I was more interested in photography. I mean, I can't see myself doing anything else but photography or art. That's when I discovered WashU when I came here. You don't have to control everything. And my advisors actually helped me to understand that it's okay to lose control and release the rein on your artwork. And so what these are about right here is like collaboration with people I met online. And my whole project is about mapping trauma. And can you map trauma? And what that was doing was I sent out letters to people I met on Craigslist. And so this is like my archive of all the letters of people I communicated via the mail that I found off of Craigslist. And then what happens is I would send these people a letter with rules in it, and the rules were to make me a drawing, and that drawing was based on a system of how I interpreted trauma to look like and how to plot trauma. And so like I sent out a lot of letters, but I only got a few response back. So this is just the evidence of what was sent out into the world. And in the show, it's the evidence of what was sent out and what was received back, and the conversation of like, what is trauma and what does it look like? Well, that's the thing. Like, we all experience trauma. Like, or do we all experience trauma? As they say, everyone has the potential to experience trauma, or we have experienced trauma. So, what I'm working through is what does trauma look like to everyone, and the idea of breaking down this hierarchy of what trauma is, and saying that like trauma could be anything as long as a person feels like it's affected them on some level. And when I send my letters out to people to have them understand, I say life altering. And that's what I mean, because I feel like trauma if someone says something has altered their path and for them that was traumatic, that's trauma. And so what my work is, what I'm doing, I'm like evening the field of trauma. I'm making all trauma look the same, not because it's minor, because I feel like all trauma is major. And that's what the whole like thing is. I feel like that's a fallacy that some traumas are more like intense than others, like catastrophe, like the Holocaust is greater than someone being killed on the street. So it's a whole idea of like, no, like any trauma is significant and it should all be discussed in a space. I think right now it's in our society, it's like giving everyone an opportunity to be heard who wants to be heard, and give an opportunity for them to have something like remembrance, like kind of almost like that, but it's not quite a memorial, but it could be a memorial if you wanted it to be. I look a lot at Susan Hiller, and though she's working with Jewish, but she has one of the projects that I've been like really connecting with is her J Street project, is where she went back through all of Germany and photographed all these streets with the surname of Judea, which is supposed to like mark that street where Jewish people live. And so what she did, she cataloged and documented every street she went along to. And then I think of Sophie Cal, who's not dealing with anything trauma-based, but her blind project when you're working with others and how to translate what others say into something, into a presentation. And she has blind people talk about what their idea of beauty is and they've never seen. And so they're like talking about abstract ideas, and trauma isn't, like you can't really see trauma, but you can describe it. I feel like I've always said that the world would stop functioning without artists, and I feel we have a valid place in society. We allow people to think outside the spectrum. If I said if I wasn't an art major, if I wasn't an architect, I would probably be a sociologist, because I love studying people, and I don't know if I can help them. I don't know if I'm able to help them, but I like the idea of working with people a lot. And maybe I can help them, I don't know. If I were a sociologist, I'd probably train to help them, but right now I feel like reaching out to people is the first step.